Okay, we're going to go ahead and talk about comparing and ordering fractions. All right, so what we'll do is I'll just give you a set of fractions. Okay, so let's do 3/4 and 5/6. Okay, and then they're going to want us to put the greater than or less than sign to say which one's bigger. Okay, so you may be able to just eyeball this and say, I think this one's bigger, but I'm going to show you the method that you would need to use because that's not always going to be the case of how you can compare these fractions. Okay, so what's tricky about this is we're talking about different like parts. Okay, this one, the whole has 4 pieces. This one, the whole has 6 pieces. So the pieces aren't even the same size. So what we want to do is we want to get them so we're talking about wholes that have the same number of pieces. So, well, let's look. Okay, I'm gonna draw a hole here. This one's got 4. Okay, and 3 of them are filled in, right? Okay, that's 3/4. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing over here. Got my hole here. And now I'm going to have 6 pieces. And 5 of them are filled in. Okay, again, yeah, there's 5 pieces there, there's 3 pieces there, but remember, the pieces aren't the same size. So we've got to get it so the pieces are the same size before we really can compare them. Okay, so, well, let me see. How many pieces can I divide this into where the pieces would be the same size? Okay, and I know that sounds kind of confusing. Basically, what we're going to look for is the least common denominator, the LCD, which is basically the fraction way of saying the least common multiple that the denominators have. Okay, and in the previous lesson, we just talked about how do we find the least common multiple. So we have to look in this, what it really affects is the denominator. Basically, the denominator of each fraction says, okay, this is how many pieces make up a whole. So we've got to get it so those numbers are the same. Okay, so 4 and 6. Well, let's think about what is the smallest number that both 4 and 6 would go into. Okay, and in the last lesson we talked about we could make multiples, we could do the factor tree. I don't know if that we have to do a factor tree for this one. Well, with multiples for 4, I know I'd have 4, 8, and 12. Well, just thinking about that, well, I know 6 goes into 12, so 12 is going to be my least common denominator. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to write 12 over here and 12 over here. Okay, now I'm going to rewrite these fractions, making equivalent fractions with 12 as a denominator. Okay, so we've got 3/4 is equal to what over 12? Well, let's think. Okay, what did we multiply 4 by to get 12? 4 times what equals 12? Times 3, right? Okay, so remember on our lesson with equivalent fractions, remember we can make as many equivalent fractions as we want as long as we multiply the bottom and the top by the same number. So if I multiply 4 times 3 to get 12, then I have to multiply 3 times 3 as well. See how I'm multiplying by the same number? Okay, so that's 9. Okay, so now this is the fraction we're going to look at. Okay, let's do the same thing over here. We're going to make an equivalent fraction. 5/6 is equal to what over 12? Well, let's see. 6, what did I do to the 6 to get 12? Multiply-wise. Yeah, I have to multiply by 2. So if I multiply by 2 on the bottom, I have to do the exact same thing to the 5 on top. 5 times 2 is 10. All right, so now we can compare. Now we're talking about pieces that are the same size. We have 12 pieces in this hole, okay, and 9 of them are shaded. We have 12 pieces in this hole, and 10 of them are shaded. So which fraction represents the larger amount? Well, look at the numbers on top. 10 is bigger than 9, so that one is bigger. All right, let's do this again. Let's do 9 over 24 and 3 over 8. Okay, so again, we need to think of the denominators, they're different. So again, we're talking about two different size pieces, okay? 24 and 8. We need to come up with the denominator, the least common denominator. What is the smallest number that 24 and 8 will go into? Well, I know that 8 goes into 24, so if that's the case, then 24 is my least common denominator. So I'm going to leave this fraction alone. And then I'm going to turn this one into an equivalent fraction of something over 24. Okay, so 8 times what equals 24? 8 times 3. Okay, so if I multiply that times 3, what do I have to do to the top? Also take it times 3. 3 times 3 is 9. So now I can compare 9 over 24 and 9 over 24. Well, they're the same, so if I'm comparing, I'm just going to put an equal sign between them. Okay, so when I compare fractions, I have to have the least common denominator. So then I'm comparing same sizes. Okay, now we're going to talk about ordering. Okay, and that's really kind of the same thing. Okay, instead of comparing 2, we've got 3 that we're just going to arrange in order, sometimes 4. So let's see, we've got 2/3, 5/6, and 3/4. All right, okay, so again, all different denominators, different pieces, different size pieces, so we're looking at the denominators, 3, 6, and 4. Okay, so we have to come up with the least common denominator. So let's think, what is the smallest number that 3, 6, and 4 would all go into? Okay, well, I think it's 12. Because 3 goes into 6, but 4 doesn't go into 6. So then the next one for 6 would be 12. Does 3 go into 12? Yeah. Does 4 go into 12? Yeah. So it's going to be 12. Okay, so I'm just going to rewrite them underneath here. Okay, so I know its least common denominator is 12. Okay, so 3 times what is 12? Well, times 4. So I have to do the same thing to the 2 times 4. That's 8. Okay, 6 times what is 12? Times 2 times 2. That's 10. 4 times what is 12? Times 3 times 3. Okay, so that's 9. Okay, now I can compare. Now I'm really just looking at the numbers on the top saying, okay, well, 8's the smallest, 9's the next smallest. So I'm going to have this, but I'm going to go ahead and rewrite it using the original fraction. So my smallest, if I'm ordering from least to greatest, I'm going to start with the 2/3. And then, which one's the next bigger? That would be the 3/4. And then the last one would be the 5/6. And I've ordered them. Okay, good luck.